Yeah, I thought Chase battled. I thought his play style was right there, and so we just got to finish on a couple ops. We're really close, and we just got to finish on them, and I think he's got some opportunities just to respond the right way, and he will, and we have all the confidence in the world that he's going to make some impact plays this week and in the future.
That's Kellen Moore on Monday, talking about Chase Young and the impact that he made in his return. It is a bit odd to look at Chase Young in this game against New England on Sunday. We all know what happened this offseason, of course. Chase Young was the number 2 overall pick of Washington, had a great rookie season. Injuries slowed him in his middle 2 years. He gets traded to San Francisco, comes to New Orleans, and was one of the tops in the NFL in pressures a year ago. Saints give him a 3-year, $51 million contract, and there's this great expectation. They even mentioned it on the broadcast, if you were watching on Sunday, that, Moore and Brandon Staley said Chase Young was the best player in camp. Like, not best defensive end, like their best player in camp. And so there was such a great expectation on Chase Young. He has the calf injury, misses the first 5 games, and he goes out there and makes his debut against New England and only makes 1 tackle. So you would have loved to have seen a more productive day from Chase Young, but this is where sometimes when I talk about Pro Football Focus grades, it's odd, because I always say my caveat on PFF is Pro Football Focus is a metric. It's not the metric. It's just something to consider, and sometimes it either confirms or disconfirms what your eyes tell you. And I don't know that I saw a ton of good from anybody on the Saints defense on Sunday, because you gave up touchdowns on your first 2 drives. Obviously, your secondary play was very poor, and that's evidenced by when you look at the PFF grades. The bottom up, the lowest graded player in the secondary, lowest graded player defensively was Quincy Riley. Second lowest was Jonas Sanker, then Kool-Aid McKinstry, then Alontae Taylor. That was your bottom 4 on defense. I mean, it goes to show why you had a miserable day, and in the first half, Drake May had a perfect quarterback rating against the New Orleans Saints. Well, your highest graded player was Pete Werner. Your second highest graded player was Chase Young. And this is really interesting as well, specifically with those 2 guys, because you paid Chase Young a ton, and your 3 years, $51 million, and you're expecting him to be an elite edge rusher. Well, in this game, he has 3 hurries. He only had 1 tackle in the game. And I'm looking at the PFF, the advanced metrics, to see what else is relevant here. Played in 35 defensive snaps, had 3 hurries and 1 tackle. You would have liked to have seen a more productive day. But then I'll look at Pete Werner at the top of that list. So Werner graded out by Pro Football Focus at an 87.2 overall. 75 in run defense, 71 in his pass rush, 76, nearly a 77 in his coverage grade. Tackling was a 54.8. But the reason I say it's interesting is there was an interesting thing that happened. So Pete Werner only played 38 snaps. For context, week 1, 60, 63, 42, 41, 64 last week against the Giants, and then 38 snaps against New England. Well, where did those snaps go? Those snaps went to Danny Stutsman, who played 6 snaps, and Isaiah Stalbird, who played 8. So that may not seem like a lot, but that's 14 snaps, and that's the difference between the 50 or so snaps, 55 snaps that Pete Werner had been playing, and the 38 he played against New England. They're very intentionally getting series for the young linebackers here. And as a matter of fact, Kellen Moore on Monday was asked about getting Danny Stutsman those 2 drives in the game against New England.
Yeah, we just, we have 2 really good linebackers, and these young guys never really get a ton of rotation opportunities. And so it felt like, getting Danny a few reps has some value for your roster. And so he hasn't played a ton of snaps other than, I think, the Seattle game where obviously the game kind of got behind us. And so, you got 2 drives in there. I think you end up with it was just 2 3 and outs. It ended up just being 6 plays. And so, but Danny's a good player. And so I think, when you give these guys some exposure, I think it helps them if something comes up.
It was in the second half when you forced 3 and outs, which you didn't do at all in the first half. They didn't punt until late in the third quarter, about 5 minutes ago in the third quarter before New England punted for the first time. So he's in there on some productive drives. And so more elaborate on kind of how do you pick the right time to get him in there?
His was just like a rotation thing, just get him in there. Stalbird, he's kind of got a third down situation thing that he's popped up in, and so he's been able to play a little bit of that specific role. And we go through this in a lot of different other positions too, just trying to give ourselves some rotations and some depth. And so I thought it was valuable for him. And then Pete popped back out there and kept playing, and so we're good.
Pete Werner is a very good player, but it's worth mentioning in 2024 they gave him a 3-year extension, 3-year, $22.5 million extension. He's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2028, but you do have an opportunity next season where his dead number is less than his contract number. So you could save money next year if Pete Werner's not on your roster. So it's one of those things where you heard Kellen Moore say it in that first bite, where they're trying to see what they have with these guys and get times. Like, when you're trying to win football games, you're not out there just trying to get guys experience. You're trying to win football games. This kind of goes to show you this is hand in hand with the rebuild. They are trying to figure out what they have in a lot of these young guys. It's part why you're seeing a lot of Quincy Riley right now. What do you have in these young guys? And that answer is not always going to be the affirmative. Like when we talk about PFF, for example, I always tell you it's like a color-coded scheme, right? Where like dark blue is 100, and it goes like dark blue to light blue to dark green to light green to like yellow. Then as you start to get to orange and red is where it gets bad. So I always look and go, okay, where are the outliers on the color grid? Well, there's like Pete Werner at an 87, Chase Young at an 85. There's Jonah Williams had a 90 on his pass rush grade. That's fantastic. I mean, so number 54, Jonah Williams, get out there. But then you look, okay, look at the red. Jonas Sanker, a 21 in his tackling grade. Quincy Riley, a 27 overall. Quincy Riley, a 27 in coverage. Like, Kool-Aid, a 35 in coverage. Jonas Sanker, a 35 in coverage. You're trying to figure out what you have with these young guys. And unfortunately, Sunday's game against New England was not encouraging. Now, the linebackers, it kind of is actually encouraging because, as we mentioned, Werner was your highest graded player by PFF, followed by Chase Young. Well, number 3 was Danny Stutsman. He only had 6 snaps, though. Number 4 was Devon Gottschall. Number 5 was Isaiah Stalbird. And Stalbird had 8 snaps. So they're limited snaps for those guys, but the limited snaps they had, they performed very, very well. Something to watch as you start to move throughout the remainder of the season is, do you start to see more of Pete Werner's reps go to Danny Stutsman and Isaiah Stalbird? If that's the case, they might be tipping their hand what direction they're going to go in this offseason with Pete Werner. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.